Jason Williamson of Sleaford Mods. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. Where are you right now?
I'm at home.
Where is home for you?
Nottingham.
Nottingham. All right. Well, my name is Tim Pyles. I've got a radio show here in San Diego, and
Hi,
I've
Tim. How you doing?
been a fan of your project for a few years now, at least with its introduction into the United States, right? I mean, you are really, truly a British entity. I mean, the things you're talking about are at its core the working class of Britain, and you're telling the story that really hasn't been told for a long time. I mean, I love that Iggy Pop is one of your biggest fans, that
Yeah.
the guys from Crass compliment you and said, man, I wish we were doing that. But this isn't new for you. You're not a kid, right?
No, not at all. No. I've been trying to do music for like nearly 25 years before we started Sleaford Mods. So, or 20 odd years thereabouts, you know. So yeah, you know, I had to. It took me a long time to learn my craft, so to speak.
But you were still creating music. I read that you were a session musician for Spiritualized at some point.
No, I did. I was involved in a project with two of the members from the band.
You never can trust Wikipedia.
No, never. It's pretty. No, it's okay, Wikipedia. You know what I mean? If you want to learn about Henry VIII or something, but it gets dodgy when you've got, like, you know, just two-bit musicians. You know what I mean?
Well, you are, you know, really a minimalist electronic punk rock duo. Your DJ does nothing but shuffle around and drink beer and press the start button, pretty much.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful.
Yes, good little thing. It's important to have Andrew on there, and I need his dimension completely changes it. You know what I mean?
So he joined in 2012, Andrew Robert Lindsay Fern, and was that a big turning point for the project in 2007?
Oh yeah, massive. He totally turned it around. It was, before that, I was using loops from old records, and although it was okay, it was just not really hitting the mark. So I needed something more organic and original, without the worry of copyright issues. And along came Andrew. I met Andrew in 2011, and we immediately started recording.
So when was it Rough Trade that really brought you guys here to the States for the first time and released music here?
No, we'd done a couple of visits to America. We played in New York, in Manhattan, not Manhattan, Brooklyn, sorry.
Okay.
Williamsburg, about 2014.
Okay.
And yeah, then we came back over with Rough Trade about a year later. So,
you've never been to you've been to Southern California. You didn't make it as far down as San Diego. I want to say you played in Orange County, maybe was as close as you got. Well, definitely Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles, yeah.
I was really bummed I missed those, and I was looking forward to seeing you here in between the two Coachella dates. You were going to play a legendary venue called the Casbah, which would have been fun. So I hope when everything comes back to normalcy, you will come by to San Diego again. I could take you out for some burritos or something.
That would be lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. We hope to get back as soon as possible. You know what I mean?
So you're just home with your wife and kids right now. Are you just doing stuff like this? Is the band doing any kind of Facebook Live or Instagram Live? Are you into any of that?
Nothing.
Yeah. You guys
just doing interviews and, well, I don't know. I mean, we're thinking about doing something, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, you did Tim's Twitter listening party. I thought that was cool. Last Thursday, Tim Burgess of the Charlatans did a listening party. He's been doing these on Twitter. It's friggin' genius. And they did it for English tapas. How did that go for you?
Yeah, really good. Yeah. We're doing one a week. We're doing all of the albums, actually.
With Tim?
Yeah. We're kind of working outside of his main timetable with it. But he, he doesn't mind us doing it. We ask for permission, So it's a brilliant idea that he's doing, But yeah, it's really good. It's good to go over those old records again and to talk about them and to bring back those memories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could only imagine. I mean, you've been doing this for a while, and it's amazing that the States has supported the project. I mean, I've been a fan, and I have to admit, life is a lot different here in San Diego than it is where you're from. But I've always been a fan of the message and the bands that come from the UK and punk bands from the 70s, and you're confrontational, man. I mean, it's crazy. You put that message that people need to hear in the UK out there like nobody else does. I mean, who does it like you, Jason?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sorry, what was the end bit?
The end bit, sorry. I mean, is there anybody else out there that's telling the message, the truth, kind of like you guys are, or any comparable bands you like?
Probably rappers, like UK rappers. But that's it, really. Indie band wise, they're not. It's more kind of pop. It's more, a lot of these bands are a lot younger and not as angry. And you don't have to be. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them are just kids discovering music and playing and being into music and wanting to put music first rather than the message. You know what I mean? But we're a bit of both. We're a bit older, seen a bit more pissed off. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just how it was. When I was 24, 25, I wasn't necessarily this way at all. I was very much keeping in line with everything else. You know what I mean? And not very surprising whatsoever. And it's only age that has made it better for me.
Yeah, you've had some odd jobs over the years alongside creating music. Did you really work in a chicken factory?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I did that a few times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it was all right, and then it wasn't. It went very horrible very quickly. But I did that over a few years, definitely. Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is we've got this new album coming out, All That Glue, May 15th, and this is some stuff you've actually never recorded, right? I mean, there are tracks on there that are fan favorites, live performance stuff, but you've never released to the public.
Yeah, we wanted to. We didn't want to do a lot of greatest hits or a singles album. We wanted to do a retrospective, something that we thought best represented the band. You know what I mean? And we didn't want to do the obvious stuff because who wants to hear all the singles? That's boring. You can just go to the albums and play them. So we got some unreleased tracks, and there's also tracks on there that you can't listen to that are live favourites, stuff like Job Seeker, Routine Dean, and Jolly Fucker. These are all early classics that you can't get anywhere. You got to go on YouTube to listen to them, which is stupid. You know what I mean?
So, I watched a Jules Holland performance you guys did.
Yeah, lots of people do that. So we needed a proper bass for them because they only came out on limited edition singles, back in the day. So we needed a proper bass for them. So, we wanted to give something back to people that like the band, that come and follow us, and, to real hardcore fans or whatever. And we thought it was a good excuse to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, why the hell not? I mean, it's exciting here in the States. I actually just watched the new video for Second, which is kind of hilarious because you guys are in the audience at a pub watching these two girls, actresses. One of them's from Game of Thrones and then a Star Wars film. And you guys are having a pint and just watching these girls nail it, kind of emulating you guys. It's hilarious. I think people, if they got to know you, I bet, there's this soft, sensitive side to you. You're kind of funny, and it's not really this aggressive thing all the time. But I'm curious, do you get a lot of people confronting you because of your message?
No, never.
Yeah.
Online you get a lot, but everybody's a tough guy online, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Sure enough.
And so, but yeah, not in the flesh, no.
Good, good.
You know, I don't think many people are like that. You know, you've got to be an unlucky person to get into a fight, really.
Well,
No, I've never have.
I admit, if you would have played the Casbah here in San Diego and we've done the same interview in person, I think I would have been a little more intimidated than doing it on Zoom. But I appreciate this opportunity, dude. This is really cool, Jason, and I hope you're having a great day. This is exciting. Great band. I'm really a fan of the project, and I think we share similar life experiences a little bit, even though I grew up here in San Diego. But I'm curious about your fascination with mods, because when I first saw the band name, not even hearing the band, I thought you were some kind of mod power pop band or something. I had no idea what Sleaford Mods was, and then I heard the music, and I'm like, oh well, you know, this is the Fall. This is some other stuff that I really enjoy. But tell me your fascination with mods and how that plays into the band name.
Just because I grew up being a mod, and you know, that was what you did. It was what everybody was. All my friends were mods. You know what I mean? I was a mod, and that carried on, and I became. I then drew my standards by that, and if things weren't, you know, if creativity around me, creativity that was offered to me on you know, the options in front of me weren't as good as my marker with it, then you know, it would be rejected, and that's how I still carried on, you know. So it was. I thought it was a good thing to put in the band name. You know what I mean?
Very nice. So through that, as you grew older, I'm curious, were you a fan of the underground rave culture and a part of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
DJ culture as well there?
I was. I wasn't a raver. I was a clubber. You had two types of you know, sort of dance music person back then. It was either a raver or a clubber, and we were clubbers because it was smarter. You know, people dressed a bit better. We always viewed ravers as being a bit inferior. You know, they looked a bit, you know, untidy and a bit crap.
Sure,
But
sure.
you know, ironically, the raver has fared a lot better through history's timeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They now look a lot cooler than clubbers did. You know what I mean?
Well, for
Yeah.
me, I was actually in a scooter club here in San Diego. We're one of the first scooter clubs in North America. They're still some of my best friends, which you kind of mentioned how, you know, that's the groundwork for so much of who you are. But also, I went to a lot of underground raves at Indian reservations and warehouses,
Wow.
and just have always having an affinity for bands out of the UK. So when you guys came around, I mean, it was very refreshing. I mean, there's that element of Wu-Tang Clan with what you guys are talking about that's an influence for you, as much as you're a mod. But then I hear kind of in the way that you do your poetry, I call it poetry, but you do it kind of like a Marky Smith, even, where there's like this talking, that's a talking element. But what are the biggest influences for you and wanting to create this Sleaford mod sound?
Well, it was just basically Wu-Tang, really, and a lot of early punk stuff, kind of second wave punk, like The Exploited, English Dogs, Discharge, but just, you know, odds and sods. I'm not massively a fan with these bands. It's about bands like the Meteors, Psychobilly,
Sure.
you know, stuff like that. That really got me. You know, this bass sound came from, I don't know if you've heard of Two Lone Swordsmen, Andrew Weatherall, who's recently passed away,
Yeah.
and his partner, Keith Tenniswood. They brought an album out called Tales from the Double Gone Chapel, which heavily influenced me in the sense of using heavy bass sounds and minimal drums.
Yeah.
You know, all of that combined gave us the sound that we've got today.
You know, I have to admit, when I watch the performances and I hear the music, the beauty of it is, it at its core, it is punk rock, and the inspiration is it makes me want to create some music like that, but maybe with an American perspective. You know, I really admire you and the message, and and the confrontational, and how like everything's so pussy now, or namby-pamby. Everything's just so, everybody's so nice, and
yeah, sure,
it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, somebody needs to hold the mirror up, and it helps me understand what's going on back in the UK. But like, you know, I'm learning something through your music and through the message, and I gotta thank you for that.
No, no worries. Well, you know, I'm sure it's not entirely great where you are. You know, I think our countries are very similar in the fact that we are currently, you know, yeah, people in charge aren't great. You know what I mean? You know, we're very, very, very similar in that respect. You know,
It's really weird how Boris does seem to be like completely the British version of Trump in a way. I mean, they're like, they could be brothers.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
You know, I mean, Trump must just be laughing at him. You know, I mean, it's bad enough having Donald Trump, but Boris trying to be a second rate is just too much. So,
it's a weird time, and I think you know, people need to wake up, and that's what a band like Sleaford Mods does. But you guys started in pubs. I love the video. There's a documentary. Is the documentary Bunch of Cunts available to stream here in America or watch?
I'm not sure. It could. I think it is. I think it's on Amazon.
Okay.
I think you can get it on Amazon, and there might be some other places as well, but I'm not entirely sure.
There's some fun footage in there of you performing at a pub with just like three dudes losing their shit by the front table with a pint.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you know, it's admirable to think of where you guys came from and what you were doing, and now to see these festival performances and the stuff you do. And I love it because I forget what record it was, but in the clip I saw of the documentary, you actually gave your father a signed copy of one of your records, and you said something like that. It only took me 25 years, but I fucking made it, or something like that.
Yeah, it was. It literally was. They really couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it.
Well, you're an inspiration, right? I mean, hey, these young punks, young kids need to be still shown how it's done. And it's amazing what a great label Rough Trade is to support what you're doing. And I hope you guys make it back. I mean, if Coachella happens in October, then I'm assuming you would make it to San Diego, but I'm still curious if Coachella is gonna happen.
I don't know. I mean, the way that your country is lifting sanctions, but then again, it's okay. The president's saying one thing, but all your states are governed by different people, aren't they? So
yeah,
it remains to be seen whether your governor decides to do that. But we'll see what happens. You know.
So, are you talking to Andrew a lot? And this is all happening. I mean, what are you going to do? It's weird because so many bands are taking their releases off the table and pushing them back. Here, you're like, fuck it, let's put it out. It's May 15th. That's our release date.
Yeah. I think there's no point really I mean, it's a retrospective. If it was a studio album,
right,
then it might have been different. But even then, I think if people have written an album, you know, pre-pandemic, it's going to lose its worth even more if you leave it, because obviously the messages in that album probably aren't going to be tinged with anything that's happening now, you know. And I think people's perceptions and the way people are thinking and how they will change slightly with this pandemic, you know, it might affect the way that they feel about records that have been recorded before it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's strange times. I mean, I never thought you're my first Zoom interview with an artist that I'm doing. So thank you for being my guinea pig. I host a different radio show that just showcases bands here from San Diego. And since my co-host can't come into the studio anymore, I've been able to incorporate them into the live radio show by doing this. So it's kind of crazy. How many Zoom interviews have you been doing?
I've done loads. I've done about 30, I think.
Oh, geez. You must be tired of them.
No, it's good. You need to do it. And I keep telling the label to just bring them on, you know. The more people you talk to, you know, the further the message spreads, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Well, the new record is out May 15th, and I'm sure that'll be as it is. I mean, albums are available for streaming immediately, right, on that day?
Yeah, sure. So you'll be able to listen to it from 12 midnight, I would imagine. You know what I mean?
That's cool. And then what's the future? I mean, I know the future is kind of weird right now, so we're all just kind of on hold. But is there? I mean, you got nothing better to do right now? Maybe write a pandemic record?
Oh God, yeah. We've got about 3 or 4 tunes already, so we're working on those. And Andrew's sending me more music. We hope to be back in the studio, hopefully by July, if lockdown is eased. But we'll have to see what happens. You never know. Nobody really knows how this virus is going to go. If there's going to be mutations, a second wave of it. I certainly don't want to put anybody in jeopardy, and so we'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Well, I think people should just put on all that glue while they're in lockdown, and just kind of, I don't know, get aggressive, lose their mind, and go to someplace else, and just get into Jason Williamson's head there for a little while, and it's really cool. I'm excited for the success in the United States, which, I don't know if you ever thought of that or expected anything like that. I mean, is it?
To get even 200 people coming to the gigs was a really big thing for us, And now we're playing 1,000 capacity places in some of them, which is brilliant. I'm not sure if we'll be totally taken in by the people of America, but I'm sure we can get a decent relationship going with you. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can get back over there this next year, or this year. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
Radio is kind of weird, so you're not really a radio band. Do you get played on any radio back home?
Yeah, we get 6 Music, BBC 6 Music, and we get a few other radio stations. But we don't get onto the main ones, the ones where all the younger bands go. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Because that would be great if we could. But these younger bands, they've got 10 times the amount of people following them on social media. It's great, but at the same time, it'd be nice if we got on there as well. You know what I mean? But you can't see it happening really. It's quite age centric. The more major radio stations. You know what I mean?
So I love TCR, Total Control Racing. That's probably your most pop song, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I played a few of your songs on the radio. Most of them are pretty language. You're not a fan of radio edits per se, like.
No, we did think about it. We're quite up for doing it, but with the last album, we didn't really need to because there wasn't any swearing in any of the singles. I think there was one word, but the radio station was cool with that. They just beat that out.
Sure.
We didn't bother, but going forward, if things are really heavily swear laden, then we might look at doing radio edits. Defo,
Did you break some kind of record with the most foul-mouthed song, with the most expletives in a song or an album? I read something. I thought I saw a clip like that. That doesn't ring a bell?
Probably. I mean, that's quite good, actually, isn't it?
Right. I mean, hey, that's a life goal. You've achieved something. We hope you get back to the States, because like I said, I've always been a fan. I don't know if you're a fan of the Streets. You a fan of the Streets?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
Got to see them a few years ago, and just always been a fan of so many bands. Hence, I guess me being a Southern California mod in the 80s. I have a scooter still to this day, and Paul Weller has autographed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And mostly I have a lot of the two-tone bands, a lot of the ska bands that come through San Diego. I would take one of my cowls to the show. So I have, Madness, English Beat, Selector, a lot of that. I was a real two-tone fan. That was my big thing back then.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Little rude boy. A lot of skanking here in SoCal. Well, cool. I'm sure you got other interviews to do. I just want to tell everybody to get the new album. It is All That Glue, Rough Trade, May 15th. It's a compilation of the last 7 years. You and your buddy Andrew Robert Lindsay Fern. We should give a shout out to Simon who was kind of the original producer, still your band
sure.
photographer, right?
He still does photographs. Yeah. So bless him.
And you're a sweet human being, much less abrasive than I thought, you know?
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was nice to meet you, Tim.
I'm so looking forward to meeting you in person, and this is great because a bunch of these songs, since I haven't seen you live, are songs I maybe haven't heard, so I'm excited to delve deep. I want to thank Brianna at Rough Trade. Actually, she just sent me the full album before we did this, so I'm going to go enjoy Jolly Fucker and Tweet, and Total Control Racing and some other stuff from the mind of Jason Williamson, poet extraordinaire.
Take care.
And I guess people can just go to sleafordmods.com. That's a good spot to go check out if they're not familiar with the band.
Yeah, go to that. Go to Rough Trade. Both have got the album for sale, or wherever. It should be widely available in America, your local record store, I would imagine. So yeah, definitely. Or Spotify if you want to stream it, or iTunes or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm going to be playing something on the radio this Sunday to promote its release. So there's nothing newly recorded for the album. These are all tracks that are kind of archives and B-sides that weren't properly released.
Yeah, all of them are, B-sides or album tracks, or, there's a few singles on there, TCR, Kebab Spider, some bits people are well aware of, Job Seeker, obviously, but yeah, all of this stuff is, it's older stuff. There's been nothing new put on there.
Well, congratulations on your success in waiting 25 years. Cheers to your dad and his support of you all those years. I thought that was a beautiful moment, and I hope you have a great day and staying home and staying safe.
Take care, Tim. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
91X.